London Heathrow is the UK's biggest cargo hub with unrivaled global flight connections. It's a vital tool for the country's international trade. And with me today is Nick Platts, who's head of cargo at Heathrow. So Nick, Heathrow understandably has been in the news a lot recently, which we will come to later. But firstly, I understand this is your first ACF?
It is, yes, very excited to be here.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic to finally have a presence at one of these shows. I've heard a lot about it for a long time, and it's great to be here and just to showcase what we can do and talk about our strategy.
And what are you expecting to gain from this event?
Not a lot for our first event. I think it's just a place marker for me to say we're here, we're listening. Ideally, we'd like to listen to as many people from forwarders, airlines and other airports to learn whatever we can to make sure that Heathrow is progressing in the right direction. We launched our strategy last year, so that was after 18 months of consultation with the local stakeholders and some of the regional stakeholders as well. And now we sort of really want to embed that, take it forward, explain what we're doing, and check that it is the right direction that we're travelling in.
And what do you think are the key issues facing the air cargo sector, and how are we going to go about tackling them?
I think there's no doubt that yields are struggling within the industry. So we need to do all we can as an airport to reduce that cost of operation, to make sure that the industry, the stakeholders, the forwarders, the airlines can all make sufficient margins to keep it going. So I think our focus is very much on how can we make Heathrow more efficient, how can we make the cost of operation at Heathrow cheaper, how can we be more predictable and provide some certainty into that supply chain so that they can then leverage off that and in turn make their operations cheaper and take advantage of that or grow their better yields.
And what advantages can Heathrow offer the air freight and UK trade companies compared to other airports?
We've been there 70 years, we've been carrying cargo for 70 years. The ecosystem that's grown up around the airport, all the forwarders and the warehousing companies around the airport. We are the UK's biggest value port, over £100 billion in 2015, more than Felixstowe and Southampton combined. Over 70% of air cargo in the UK comes through Heathrow. So we are important to the UK economy. We know that, we can see that. We need to do more. We need to grow exports. I think the imbalance in imports and exports, we could do a lot with that. So we're working with SMEs across the UK to grow the export side of the business, and we're working with government on that as well. I think the expansion news is fantastic. It gives us the opportunity to open new routes. It also gives us the opportunity to add frequency to routes that are currently constrained. So I think the additional capacity we'll see, the new routes that are coming, place us in a good position going into the future. I think when you consider that 90% of the world's GDP is within one direct flight of Heathrow, our place in the world is obvious. Perhaps we could do a lot better at explaining that, and that's part of my role over the next few years is to do that.
How are you going to do that?
Shows like this, we need to get out there. I think the first thing we need to do is fix the front door. So we've heard a lot of comments about how efficient and predictable Heathrow is today, and the costs of operating through Heathrow. So we need to fix those first. So I'm focused on building a good foundation over the next few years, and then once that's in place, we then move forward and really do a step change.
You've said over the next few years. Do you have a time frame in mind?
Part of the strategy that we launched last year, it's a 15-year vision to transform cargo at Heathrow. We want to be the best in Europe at a predictable cargo process, so we need to make sure that the front door is as efficient as possible. We're not going to be the fastest airport for handling cargo. That's not what the customers are asking for. But we need to be predictable, and that's where we're failing a little bit at the moment. And I think we could do a lot around the additional capacity for the airport as well. So with the third runway, we see a doubling of tonnage over the next 15 years. So we need to be ready for that. And that starts to come online in the mid-2020s anyway, so with the third runway. And we need to work really hard to be ready for that.
And so we've touched on the third runway. Can you tell us a bit more about your plans?
Yeah, so I think the next phase for us is detailed planning. We had a concept that we put into the Airports Commission. We need to do a deeper dive on that now. We need to talk to our airline partners. And the great news is the CAA have finally recognised the cargo consumer. So we'll be engaging them as well, and that's part of my job. I'll be the cargo client for the airport. And it's my job to explain to the business internally what we need to support cargo. So we'll be out talking to the airlines, both cargo and passengers, We'll be talking to the forwarders and to the shippers, hopefully, and make sure that what we design for the future is fit for purpose and is necessary, and we'll bring it online as and when needed. So really the next phase is engagement with the industry, and I urge them, they need to engage with us. They're the specialists, not us, so they need to tell us what they need and then let us work out how to deliver it. So the next 6 months is crucial. We need that engagement, we need that help and support. And if airlines want to influence the future of Heathrow, now's the time to get involved.
And has Brexit had a noticeable impact on the business?
It's too early to tell. I think that it all depends on the trade rules, what the customs rules in place will be. I think in balance, my expectation is it's not going to have that significant an impact for Heathrow. Most of our volume is not to Europe. So it's around about 8%, I think, of our total volume is intra-European. Our biggest market is North America and Asia Pacific. So Brexit won't impact that. We do see some opportunities in that respect, but there's also some risks around the customs rules applying. So people who currently come through the UK on their way to Europe might just go straight to Europe. But on balance, I think, it's probably not going to have much of an impact.
So it hasn't affected any long-term planning at the moment?
Not for me, no. So I think it's actually made it more important that we bring forward some of our investment plans to encourage more airlines to bring their cargo through Heathrow and to encourage the forwarders to use our gateway rather than some of the others. Because we have some spare capacity, especially North Atlantic, we have a lot of spare capacity, so we need to capitalise on that. So we're looking for opportunities, and I think Brexit just brings that into focus.
With this spare capacity, is that something you're doing at this event?
Because we've talked about Heathrow being full, a lot of people seem to think that you can't get into Heathrow. You can, it's just not at those peak times. So yes, we are full at the peak times, and in those shoulder periods, the off-peak times, there's a little bit of capacity that we can squeeze out. And so my job is, if the cargo community, if there's any dedicated freighter operators wanting to come to Heathrow, it's my job to find the slot that suits them. So, we've got a new cargo airline coming to the airport, and we'll be making an announcement about that in the next few weeks for the winter season, which is fantastic news, and hopefully there'll be more to come.
Excellent. Well, this is the perfect platform for you, and we wish you all the best of luck. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much.